Imagine being just 9 years old and already banned for life from stepping foot on a cruise ship. Hard to believe, right? But that's exactly what happened recently on Carnival Cruises. The decision shocked the cruising world. Some say it's far too harsh for a child, while others argue it's the only way to keep thousands of passengers safe. So, was this punishment unfair or completely justified? Let's break it down in today's episode of Cruise Now. The story began with a family vacation aboard the Carnival Celebration, where Linda S., a mother traveling with her young son, allowed him the freedom to explore the massive ship early in the voyage. At first, his disappearance seemed like the innocent curiosity of a child eager to wander the decks and discover new spaces. After a brief search, he was found quietly sitting outside the Miami Slice pizzeria, unharmed and apparently regretful. But the situation escalated later that evening when Carnival security officers arrived at the family's cabin with troubling evidence: surveillance footage showing the boy destroying arcade-style video game equipment, and even more concerning, physically assaulting another child. These actions crossed a line that cruise lines monitor closely, as both property damage and physical altercations are taken seriously at sea, where security resources are limited. Security gave the mother a stern warning, insisting she keep her son under control, and she assured them the behavior would not happen again. For nearly a week, the family continued their vacation without further incident, seemingly putting the matter behind them. Yet on the final night before disembarkation, officials delivered a letter that stunned the family. The boy was permanently banned not only from Carnival, but from every cruise brand under Carnival Corporation's umbrella, including Princess, Holland America, Costa, and P&O. Effectively, the ban extended to the entire family, since they could hardly cruise without him. Shocked, Linda appealed the decision, explaining that her son has ADHD and had missed his regular medication because she had failed to refill the prescription before the trip, a mistake that likely contributed to his impulsive and disruptive behavior. But Carnival denied the appeal, emphasizing that the damage and harm caused during the voyage justified their decision, and that safety and order on board had to take priority over individual circumstances. The case has since sparked wider conversations. Should cruise lines show leniency when a child is involved, especially one with medical conditions? Or does zero tolerance remain the fairest approach for thousands of passengers who expect a safe, enjoyable environment? Some argue that a lifetime ban for a 9-year-old is excessive, suggesting that policies should allow for review when the child becomes older, while others contend that the incident was a red flag for future problems, and Carnival acted responsibly to prevent potential escalation on later voyages. Beyond the immediate family, the story raises bigger questions about parenting at sea, the limits of independence for young cruisers, and how medical needs should be managed in environments that depend heavily on rules and structure. In the end, whether seen as a life lesson or a corporate overreach, the case underscores how a single moment of misbehavior on a cruise ship can have lasting consequences that extend far beyond the vacation itself. Of course, this isn't the only reasons passengers get kicked off a ship. One of the most predictable ways to earn a lifetime ban is by acting aggressively toward crew members or fellow passengers. This is also one of the easiest problems to avoid. Unfortunately, some passengers find it impossible. Mary is the mother of one such passenger who was banned for life. She and her husband loved sailing with Carnival, often cruising with their 6 children. They had never had an issue until their very last Carnival cruise. On the final night of their Caribbean sailing aboard Mardi Gras, trouble struck. Mary's 2 oldest kids, an 18-year-old son and a 21-year-old daughter, had gone out together for the evening. Although Mary didn't witness the full incident, she said her children were harassed by 2 drunk men. According to her son, the men were staring at his sister, and he stepped in to protect her. The details of what happened next aren't clear, but her son claimed that one of the men struck first, and he fought back. Mary only realized there had been a fight when she heard a knock on her cabin door. Opening it, she saw her son standing with 2 security guards. The guards explained that because he had gotten into a conflict with another passenger, he would be confined to his cabin until disembarkation the next morning. Carnival even posted 2 security officers outside the cabin all night to ensure he didn't leave. The next day, before the family disembarked Mardi Gras, the 18-year-old was handed a lifetime ban notice and escorted off the ship. This was especially painful because the family had already planned another larger reunion cruise. Mary wrote to John Heald, Carnival's brand ambassador, and even to Christine Duffy, the company's president, asking for a reconsideration. Her son also wrote an apology letter, reiterating that he was only trying to defend his sister. He even gathered character references from his high school teachers, but none of it worked. Like all major cruise lines, Carnival has a zero-tolerance policy for disruptive behavior on board, and I'm sure most passengers are glad to hear that. Despite the family's pleas, the apology, and requests for a second chance, he remains permanently banned. Unfortunately, the free flow of alcohol on cruises often leads to passenger misconduct. If you ever find yourself in a similar situation, the right move is to contact the nearest security officer or guest services immediately. Remember, nearly everything on board is monitored by cameras. If you're the victim of harassment, report it right away and let the proper channels handle it. If you take matters into your own hands, you could face lifelong consequences. And if you want more real-life examples of this, we've covered plenty of similar cases in past videos on this channel. Check them out. I've included direct footage from onboard ships that you won't want to miss.
Back up, my man, back up. It's going down. Hey! Oh, shit! Welcome to the motherfucking cruise.
What's the white hole? That's where the fuck I'm from.
And it's exactly fights like these that have sparked debates about whether cruise lines should impose lifetime bans across all cruise companies. Many passengers worry that offenders can simply switch to another line and repeat the same behavior on board different ships. This concern has led to letters and comments being sent to cruise lines, urging them to adopt industry-wide bans for disruptive passengers. Although the chances of encountering violence on a cruise are extremely low, the fact remains that enough incidents occur, along with plenty of lesser misconduct, such as unruly or misbehaving children, that passengers are becoming increasingly concerned. One of the most alarming events happened on April 26, 2025, when a fight broke out among disembarking passengers from Carnival Jubilee at the Galveston, Texas, cruise terminal. The altercation escalated in the baggage claim area, with passengers toppling barricades and assaulting another individual. Despite security's intervention, the brawl continued under the watch of U.S. Customs and Border Protection before being handed over to law enforcement. In the aftermath, Carnival Cruise Line placed 24 individuals involved on its Do Not Sail list, underscoring the company's zero-tolerance stance toward such behavior. This wasn't the first time either. Back in June 2022, a massive brawl broke out on board Carnival Magic, involving between 40 and 60 passengers. That fight became so serious that a Coast Guard vessel had to escort the ship back to port, sparking widespread concerns about passenger conduct on cruises. This raises an important question. Are cruise passengers behaving worse than before? While isolated incidents have always happened, the frequency and scale of these fights are increasing. Cruise guests are vocal about their concerns on social media, emphasizing the need for cruise lines to address these issues. Adding to this, the growing popularity of cruising means more crowded ships, an environment where conflicts can more easily erupt. Another factor is the rising cost of living, combined with cruising's appeal as a relatively affordable vacation. This attracts more first-time cruisers, many of whom bring different expectations, habits, or levels of awareness about cruise etiquette, sometimes leading to friction when norms are ignored. This may also help explain the parallel trend of worsening behavior among children on board. Some new-to-cruise parents allow their kids to run wild instead of using the kids' clubs or spending time together as a family. Just think back to the case of the 9-year-old boy I mentioned earlier. So, how can cruise lines address this growing issue? To deal with incidents of passenger misconduct, cruise companies are beginning to take a tougher stance. Carnival's swift decision to ban passengers involved in recent altercations highlights the industry's commitment to maintaining a safe and enjoyable environment for all guests. Yet, the increasing number of such events signals that stronger, more comprehensive measures may be required. These could include stricter passenger screenings before boarding, greater onboard monitoring of guest behavior, and clearer enforcement of conduct policies to prevent future problems. We're already seeing some cruise lines respond by boosting security presence, updating codes of conduct, and introducing harsher penalties for unruly passengers. In the coming months, it's likely we'll see even more policies aimed at reassuring guests that their safety and comfort remain top priorities. When it comes to children, for example, Cruise lines like Princess and Royal Caribbean have tested, and in some cases rolled out, tracking systems that allow parents to monitor their kids around the ship. Some lines have also experimented with earlier curfews for passengers under 18 in order to reduce misbehavior at night. Other potential solutions include extending the hours of kids' clubs into the evening or expanding adult-only areas on board so that families and non-families alike can enjoy spaces tailored to their needs. Cruise lines are famous for their constant innovation, whether it's creating new dining experiences, building larger ships, or introducing never-before-seen entertainment. Now, one of their newest challenges is figuring out how to design a shipboard atmosphere that's both exciting and safe, a place where guests can relax and enjoy themselves without worrying about disruption from others. So, should you be concerned? The truth is that cruises remain one of the safest vacation options available. The industry takes security seriously, and in many ways, being on board a closely monitored ship is far safer than exploring an unfamiliar city at night without a guide. That said, the rising number of passenger misconduct cases does underline the need for greater vigilance, stricter enforcement of rules, and fresh strategies to ensure cruising retains its reputation as a family-friendly holiday. The cruise industry must continue adapting to these challenges in order to protect its reputation and maintain passenger confidence. After all, a vacation at sea is supposed to be a time of joy, relaxation, and connection with loved ones, not a source of stress or conflict. If cruise lines move quickly to strengthen rules, invest in security innovations, and set clear expectations for behavior, they can ensure that cruise vacations remain both thrilling and safe for everyone on board. And if you are a smart traveler, when it comes to personal safety at sea, one of the most important things passengers can do is take proactive steps to protect themselves from conflicts before they escalate. Cruise ships are crowded environments, and misunderstandings can quickly turn into confrontations, especially when alcohol is involved. The first line of defense is awareness, staying mindful of your surroundings, avoiding overly intoxicated passengers, and choosing well-lit, populated areas on the ship whenever possible. Another smart precaution is to travel with companions who can provide support or corroborate your account in case of disputes. Passengers should also be mindful of how their own behavior is perceived. Excessive drinking, loud arguments, or disregarding ship rules can make it easier for others to place blame. To further protect themselves from being unfairly banned, travelers should always comply fully with crew instructions and avoid engaging in any form of retaliation, even verbal, that could be misinterpreted. Many cruise lines now provide anonymous reporting systems through their apps or onboard hotlines. Using these tools can demonstrate responsibility and show that you sought help through the proper channels. Ultimately, the safest and smartest approach is to remember that your goal is not to win an argument, but to preserve your vacation and reputation. By staying calm, documenting issues, and cooperating with staff, passengers can both shield themselves from harm and significantly reduce the risk of being implicated in situations that might result in a lifetime ban.